are you about to ask what a normal person like me is doing in a place like this?
How do you define normal?
Misha, red wine. I don't. How do you?
All I know is, normal is not what I feel.
You've lost someone. Not a lover, a friend.
Hello and welcome to episode 34 of Most Unwanted. I've had to check the number then, I've got a bit confused. I'm Luke.
And I'm Jax.
And here with us tonight, we have vampires. I feel like I might actually do the sound effect.
Yeah, it's better than you doing it.
Yeah, me doing my own reggae horn. It just doesn't work.
This is the greatest intro to a podcast we've ever done. I love it. It's chaos. We're just going for it.
Chaos and a bit of order with my newsreader.
Well, yeah, you bring the order with your news. I think that's the key. I think that's why this podcast works, because you bring the order. Like, I bring the comedy gold. You sort of bring like a little bit of a boredom to it that brings it back down to it.
I'm not happy with these comments, if I'll be completely honest. Should we do this Twitter poll? Did we mention this ages ago that we'd do a Twitter poll?
Yeah,
who's the best?
We decided not to do it because it could get brutal. It would be devastating if, like,
99 to 1%.
No one liked me. I was like, no, I can't do this anymore.
You'd be like, I'm never hosting again.
I obviously jest. You are an amazing co-host, Luke.
On that note, how's your week been? Or how will your week be?
Yeah, how will my week be? Busy. You know what? It's getting up to this Christmas time now, where it's like I'm looking at my calendar. I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to fit anything in. I've got I'm going out for one of my colleagues' birthdays at the end of the month. It's quite good though, because we're going down to the it's like this. The brewery has its own sort of function room.
Yeah,
and it's like cheap drinks in there. So I'm quite looking forward to that. I've got a couple of days off in the next couple of days, so I can chill out, relax, and then it's back to just constantly going. Yeah, I looked at my Christmas, December calendar, especially like at work. And there's like something happening every day.
It's crazy, isn't it? Around December.
Well, I mean, we was talking about it earlier off air, but like you're going down to London for your Christmas party, aren't you?
Yeah. It'll be like I think it's the second week of December. Yeah, I'm off to London.
That'll be good. I've never been drinking in London.
I mean, I don't think they're going around places. I don't know what the actual, the party is like, but I know they go to a place to start because it's free drinks. I don't know if they're going anywhere after. I mean, we'll find out, but should be interesting. We'll see how it goes.
I've always wanted to. The problem is, when we've been down there as like a sort of a group of friends a few times, but I mean, it's so expensive to drink down there, and it always ends up being, we'll go down there, we'll have a few, and then everyone sort of just goes off the idea. Yeah. And I remember one time I went up to the bar and I ordered, I was silly enough to order 2 double rum and cokes, and I ended up paying like £18. I was like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Oh my god!
It's a different world, isn't it, in London?
It's like 3 times the money for everything. Oh,
I just don't understand.
But it's such a beautiful city. I love the city.
Yeah, I just don't understand how people live there.
The wages are higher down there. They are. It's increased
for a lot of jobs, but there's a lot of jobs that aren't though. There's a lot of jobs that are sort of working really low salaries. Really? Yeah. And they have to commute. Like, I know, I've heard stories of people who are working, like, I don't know, like a Tesco or something. Other supermarkets are available.
The only one I'd shop at, though.
But, like, they'll work in, like a shop like that, get paid the normal wage you would there, and then because they can't afford the rent, because that's the wage they're on, they have to commute to like an hour outside of the city, and it's like all to get
you couldn't do it
to like a little shop. It's crazy.
But like, have you seen like property prices down there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, an apartment is more expensive than the house I've got.
Yeah,
It's crazy. Like, it shouldn't be like that, but...
So
I say more expensive. Like, double the price. Like, a one-bedroom apartment is double the price of my two-bedroom house.
Yeah,
And that's crazy. But, I mean, to be fair, I guess that's everywhere in the world. Like, if you go to any major city... It's always expensive.
I think any capital, it's really like that. So.
I mean, I don't know for sure, but I dread to think of the difference between sort of Manhattan, New York, and like the suburbs outside the city. I mean, it's got to be the same type of thing.
That's why there's houses in New Jersey and there's nothing like that in New York.
It always amazes me. He's like
apart from Stuart Little's house, obviously, he managed to squeeze that one in.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that little tiny house. Yeah. This is this awkward silence is caused by Luke referencing Stuart Little, and neither of us knowing how to get out of this rabbit hole or mouse hole, if you will.
Mouse hole.
How do we get out of this Stuart Little?
I've not asked how my week was.
Oh, I do apologise. How was your week, Luke? You know what's a good scene in Stuart Little? I like the boat race. I always like the idea that, like...
It's quite intense, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I always like the idea that you could, like miniaturise yourself and, like, then you'd have a car for, like, 20 quid. Because you get, like, a toy car and it would work.
You're maybe crushed by somebody, like, just walking.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Well, that's what mice have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. It's a tough world out there for mice.
I wouldn't want to be a mouse, I'll be honest. Even the talking one with trousers.
He only has a jumper, doesn't he, as well? Yeah. And he has a little neckerchief.
He does.
He has a neckerchief, and he has a yellow.
Yeah.
Yellow.
And his friend's a cat as well.
That's a strange friendship. The cat's... Who plays the cat? It's someone famous.
It's Timon from the
Lion King. What's his name now?
Something Lane. Nathan Lane.
Nathan Lane. Nathan Lane's great at like voice acting anyway.
But best role as a cat. As a white cat.
Yeah.
Alongside the mouse.
Yeah.
Stuart.
Yeah, which again, strange friendship.
Seminal.
Strange friendship. And I remember doesn't the cat get bullied by other cats?
Yeah, because he's a house cat.
Yeah, and then the alley cats. It's never going to work.
I was seeing which one was going to break first.
How long can we keep this Stuart Little tangent going? Oh my god.
We're 8 minutes in.
Don't cut a second.
I won't.
Wait. We are so sorry, guys. Luke, how was your week, mate?
God, not as good as Stuart Little's, I'll tell you that. God. I feel like there's no point now.
No, yeah.
I'm going to Nottingham, that's my week.
Brilliant. Good. Let's get on with the show.
Do you know, there were 3 main characters in Stuart Little 2. And the title of this episode is it's called 3.
3. Shall we do you want to talk about X-Files?
No.
Shall we talk about Stuart Little? Yeah.
No. Well, we've been waiting for a vampire episode for a while.
We have. That was my prediction. I got it right.
Let's get on to it. So, this is a bit confusing because I'm going to say it's episode 7 entitled 3.
Yeah.
That threw me off.
It is strange,
especially when I was trying to search for the production notes. I was like, X-Files 3, and it just kept coming up with
episode 3 or series
episode
3.
3, season 3. I was like, oh, this is going to get frustrating. But anyway, it was directed by David Nutter, and it was written by, it's got 3 credits, Chris Ruppenthal, Glenn Morgan and James Wong. There's a bit more about the writing of it I've not done the original air date yet. The original air date was November the 4th, 1994.
This podcast's are way top.
But there's more about the writing staff in
Luke's production notes.
That's right, my production notes.
He loves it. You love your segment, don't you? Why don't I get a segment?
Make one up then.
Oh, I can't be bothered.
Daniel's. No, we can't talk about it.
No, we're not going back to
not going back.
Any
he who shall not be named.
Any rodent-based holes in this podcast.
So, Howard Gordon was originally supposed to write this episode, but when he was unavailable, Glenn Morgan and James Wong began writing it based off of a freelance script that was provided by Chris Ruppenthal. Okay. That's why he's the new name on the credits.
So they've credited him as well. Yeah.
Because
Glenn Morgan, James Wong, we know they do a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
I've noticed David Nutter's directing a lot more episodes than he used to as well. We've seen his name sporadically, but it's been the majority of the episodes this season.
Especially, this season he sort of just jumped straight into it.
Well, even the Chris Carter episode, he was
the guy,
the advisor.
Yeah.
So he's getting really involved, and to be fair, I can see why.
The writers did have to do significant edits, but the main plot surrounding the three vampires stayed in this episode. Which I'm going to bring it up now, just because we're going to have to.
Yeah.
Your prediction was that there was going to be an episode involving vampires.
It was.
So that's
a tick to me.
Ding for you.
Oh, you're going to actually put a ding in?
I'll put a ding in. I'm just saying that so I'll remind myself. I'm not just going to say ding for you. But we also have to say that this is the first episode with no Scully.
Yeah, I know. And that was a 2-pointer for you, wasn't it?
I think it was, yeah.
That's annoying.
So that's a 2... No, it was only a 1-pointer, I think.
It was?
Because the 2-pointer was that Scully would be abducted, but...
For the entire season, the 2 pointers.
Yeah.
The entire show, should I say.
Yeah. But when I put that, I specifically meant aliens, not just abducted by... So we're not counting that yet. But, so far, counts 2-1.
I need to catch up.
And you've lost a point as well.
Yeah, because that one with the X-Files being brought back didn't come through. So, I'm not... It's not looking good, if I'm honest. But I was really happy because this was a My Out There one.
Yeah.
The vampire one.
I was going to say, it's quite a weird one to get, so...
Well, it literally... I mean, I think I said this at the time, but it's literally because we've already seen werewolves and we'd already seen, different sort of styles. And there was that one episode that was seen to go down the vampire route.
Literally started with people being drained blood and we were like, oh, this is going to be...
It never turned out way. So, I'm quite happy with this one. I guessed it. Yeah, we got vampires.
So, Club Tepes, which is the club that they go to in the episode.
Oh yes, yeah.
It was named... do you know where it was named from?
I don't know.
So the reference is to Prince Vlad Tepes, also known as Vlad the Impaler.
Oh, really?
Who is the inspiration for, Dracula. So there's the little sort of tie-in to some more vampire...
Nice, I like it.
Mythos, I suppose.
Do you think the vampires chose that club because of the name?
They're very on the nose, aren't they? Where we're going to hang out, the place that's named after Dracula.
It's got a big neon Dracula sign outside.
Big bat or something. Then again, saying that though, there's a lot of we've been to rock pubs and stuff, and they've always got bats everywhere. I don't know if it's an Ozzy Osbourne thing, but they've always got
to be, hasn't it? Yeah,
that, bat.
It's synonymous with metal and
I don't know. Yeah, so maybe it's just a thing.
Maybe. So. Do you think these vampires need to be invited in?
Just imagining what's it? What we do in the shadows.
We know they don't because the first scene.
They sort of
they're already in the house.
They break in,
but that's a common vampire myth,
trope.
It?
Yeah.
So
I noticed we'll get into this in the rest of the episode, but these are 90s vampires, and I've noticed with 90s vampires they take the cool parts and leave out the stuff that sort of makes them a bit weedy. Yeah. 90s vampires don't get affected by garlic, I've noticed. Yeah. But so they sort of forget about those weirder sort of quirks of it. But I don't know.
They wear flares as well, don't they, those 90s vampires?
And leather, a lot of leather. Yeah.
Double denim and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're every kind of bad fashion statement.
Listen to Spice Girls, don't they? Oh, can't stand them.
I don't know. I don't know if they would here. Yeah, do they?
Yeah. It's the 90s, isn't it? I think a lot of things happened.
Yeah.
Backstreet Boys.
One of those was a vampire as well. Let's not do this. The location of Kristen's house was actually the mansion of a hockey player named Pavel Bure, who was the leading name of the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Vancouver Vampires. That would have been amazing, wouldn't it? That'd have been a good
nice tie-in. They almost got sued by one of Bore's neighbours because they had to petition all of the neighbours to get clearance to film.
Yeah.
And one of the neighbours was actually out when they were petitioning.
They went ahead with
was
it anyway.
not happy when they turned up, basically. Also...
What a stick in the mud, though.
I know.
God,
Imagine
get a life.
There's like some massive filming, like, whoa. Look. Then again, I suppose if you're like a mansion owner, you're probably, this is all passe to you, like filming and films and TV shows. They're like,
Just, come on. It's not even in your house. Like, do you even see their house in the film? Come on.
Yeah, maybe they really like privacy.
Yeah, maybe.
Also, Kristen is played by Perry Reeves, who was David Duchovny's real-life girlfriend at the time.
Really?
This is 2 for 2. 2 series now. He's managed to get an acting gig for his girlfriend. Because his girlfriend at the time in the last series was, what's her name? Janice from...
Was it really? I can't remember that.
Yeah. She was his girlfriend at the time of that recording of that one as well.
So if you want a bit of an acting career, just go and get with David.
David, he'll get you in. He'll get you in X-Files.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a niche, to be honest, because you only end in one episode. So,
Janice's career went on.
Yeah.
We literally know it was Janice.
Yeah, true. Not doing so great now, but I mean,
this is the 90s, though, wasn't it?
Weird
Spice
time.
Girls,
Weird.
Backstreet Boys,
Backstreet Boys, yeah, vampires,
weird times, flares, Friends.
They are things that happened in the 90s. Yeah. They also happened in the 90s.
Go on.
I think in the late 90s.
Go on.
They made a film.
No, nothing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, wow. Speaking about Mulder's possible sexual encounter with Kristen, series creator Chris Carter, I don't know why I said that was so weird then, but we'll carry on, said that he thought that Mulder was basically a monk at this point. He wanted him to let him have a bit of a human side, and especially as Scully was absent, it seemed like the perfect opportunity to do so.
I've got problems with that scene, but we'll get to that.
We'll get to it.
Ooh, little teasing again.
Teasing those X-Files out of me. And as we know, Gillian Anderson was absent from this episode because she was giving birth to her daughter, Piper, at the time.
Oh, Piper's a lovely name.
Yeah, Piper Anderson.
The only Piper I know is Piper Perabo.
I don't know his first name. I only know Billy Piper.
Oh, Billy Piper, yeah. But no, we're talking about first names.
Yeah.
Piper Perabo was, she was, is it Alias or Elias?
Alias.
Yeah. So she's in Alias, and she's also in Coyote Ugly.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, right, so we'll start with the episode. We start in the Hollywood Hills in Los Angeles, California. I feel like that's redundant saying that, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's 12:41.
You say that.
There is a lot of Hollywoods, isn't there?
Well, there is, and it was only a couple of weeks ago that we realised that Washington wasn't in Washington.
That is true. We're having this conversation, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how stupid are we? I know, I get we understand.
We mean, like, Washington, D.C. is not in Washington State, basically.
Seems mad.
Yeah, that blew my mind. I didn't even realise.
I'm going to make a bold claim. I've not read into this. I'm guessing it's called Washington because of George Washington.
I would imagine it's named after him, yeah.
So it's not actually got anything to do with the state. But then, what was the state?
Maybe the state just wanted to name itself Washington as well.
Maybe,
I don't know.
Interesting.
They're like presidents.
But you can see where the mistake was made.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't have a clue. I didn't. I sort of knew.
Yeah.
I knew. But I only know because I support the Washington Redskins when I'm watching a bit of NFL.
The only reason I knew was because I was having a look at a map of it was about California actually, and I saw Washington was like above it on the
state,
the west side. Yeah. The state of like Washington was above California. I was like, I thought it was on the East Coast. Like,
definitely. Washington DC definitely is.
I was like, I thought it was on the East Coast. So then, like, I started looking in Washington. I was like, hang on a bit. Googled it, and I was like, oh, it's not actually there at all. So there we go.
In summary, it's always good to clarify. Yeah. So Hollywood Hills in Los Angeles, California.
God, this is scene 1. This is going to be a long episode, guys. So we see a big forest fire on the hills, and we hear sirens and helicopters, which I thought was it's a really weird, like, sort of scene as this is happening right now.
It is,
at time of recording, obviously.
In fact, it's probably the most devastating fire right now. So yeah, it is kind of topical, I suppose.
Like I say, it happens a lot in like California and stuff. You see it in like Australia and stuff. These forest fires and so
horrible.
It's horrible.
It really is. Yeah.
We then cut to someone who's drinking wine, and it's a man. Garrett Law is his name, or Leor. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't mean that.
You're a poet,
and I didn't even realise. And he dropped some wine.
Oh, I set him up, and he hit it out the park.
He dropped some wine on his shirt, and he's watching the fires on the hills. He goes inside, and he starts saying that there's ash in his wine. So he turns and he sees. We see the woman he's speaking to. It's a silhouette of her in the doorway.
Very femme fatale here. All you really see, you see her eyes, you see her long red nails, and it ends up being a theme throughout the episode.
Yeah, that red theme. Like,
this sort of I described it as a noir film almost, because you had this sort of femme fatale character, and it was all like, again, the red fingernails, and they do a really good job actually of making this part of the actual story rather than just being a theme, because they'll go on to, and I'm sure you'll got it in your notes later, but there's a reason why it's a red lighting.
Yeah.
And so, but it works really well, and all the shadows, and really like the sort of the look of this episode. As soon as this episode came on, I was like, oh, looks interesting.
Yeah, it does.
Also thought it looked like a bit of a dirty movie.
Yeah, it does have that kind of feel to it.
This first scene definitely
if it had the music changed, then it could be,
like a little bit of bass line.
You could definitely see it as a different type of film. We see a match being lit. This sounds like a recap of porno at the moment.
It sounds like you're doing an audio book for 50 Shades of Grey.
See a match being lit. I'm going to put some music over this bit. A woman blows it out. Leor says he doesn't do this, that he isn't one of those guys. Clearly, this is an affair. He mentions that he has a family. He says that he couldn't help it when he met her at a corporate party.
You're not going to hear this over the music, though.
Well, I'll just turn my volume
up. I'll be quiet.
I'll mute. No, I'll leave that in. I'll mute the music and come back to it. She shushes him. She shushes him and says, "It will be worth it. She will do things to him that no one has ever done before." We just see her eyes. They get in the hot tub, and it's a very steamy scene. They both start necking.
Bravo! That was phenomenal. Oh, you've got a career.
If this doesn't take off, then hit me up, Mills and Boons. I can do your audio books.
I love it. Oh, you're going to be very successful, or that's going to be really awkward. One of the two. One of the two is going to happen.
We'll find out when I edit this, and I'm like, I might just cut all this. We then see. I can't do this. I don't know if this would work in a sexy voice. We then see a man standing by with a syringe.
We can do horror too, guys.
He walks over and the woman starts biting the guy in the hot tub.
Yeah, it's his arm, isn't it?
Yeah. As she has blood in her mouth, he kicks her away. And then she just leaps on him, basically. And this other man jumps at her with a syringe. And we see the glass shattering. I don't know if that's symbolic of anything.
Of the glass.
Death, yeah. And I just put in all caps. Vampires!
We've got vampires.
So,
Oh, I almost leapt from a chair when I saw this. I didn't expect it either, because, again, I expected this sort of femme fatale type story.
Especially, with the episode title of just 3. I had no idea what it was, and then as it started, I was like, hang on a bit. I couldn't believe that this was the vampire episode.
Yeah, it was interesting, but I was excited to see what they did with it.
We then cut to, and this has been a long time coming, the X-Files office.
Yeah, it was good to see it back.
We see the office is covered in clear plastic. Mulder enters, and he's finally got a case, and we're back. He starts moving all the plastic saran wrap, isn't it, whatever it is. he takes down his nudie calendar, and I thought he was like taking it down in respect, but no.
No, just changing the date.
Changing the date.
A new girl, yeah.
Classic Mulder.
Yeah.
And he sits and takes it all in. He opens the X-Files cabinet and starts flicking through, and he's got a file about Scully and her disappearance, I assume. And he files it away, and he also has her FBI badge, her glasses, and he also has a necklace as well. And this is when the phone rings, and then I don't know if there's anything you got noted on that scene, because it literally hard cuts straight to Los Angeles, California.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
And we see a plane putting out these fires, or attempting to put out these fires. And we see the scene from the last night, but now obviously it's police collecting evidence. A cop comes over and says to one of these detectives who's working on it, "Don't let the media in on the writings in blood on the wall."
Yeah.
Good point. I wouldn't do that.
No.
That could definitely...
that's policing 101, isn't it?
Don't let anyone know about scary stuff, because that's going to create a panic.
Well, it's not just that. It's the fact that if you're talking to a suspect and he's aware of the writings on the wall, but nobody else is, then he immediately incriminates himself.
Exactly, yeah.
So you know what I mean? You've got to keep as much... Because the problem is, if details get out, it's so everyone knows about it, so it's so difficult to sort of narrow down the suspect. So, yeah. But it also works into the story because it sort of almost validates Mulder as well. Or incriminates him thinking about it. Maybe he should have been careful.
I mean, he's got an FBI badge, though, so he sort of gets away with it.
I mean, he did threaten to murder someone in the last episode.
Yeah, he's sort of got a few loose morals, and he sometimes. The cop comes over and tries to shut Mulder out, basically, because he thinks he's just an average guy off the street. He tells him that he's FBI, which he's confused by, because he's basically indicating that nobody called the bureau. And Mulder says that they should have. He goes in and he starts saying that the LAPD have seen these things before, they can handle it. And Mulder starts saying that they don't have time for these inter-company rivalries. They've, these people have killed 6 people in 2 states.
Yeah.
And he also mentions that they only kill at night. So another red flag.
Yeah. It sounds like Mulder's been onto this case for a while, and he even says I've been waiting for them to strike again. I do want to note here that it does feel like we've got the old Mulder back.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
he's getting into the swing of things, isn't he? He's like, even silly little things like his hair's right now, like he's actually made an effort with his appearance. Do you know what I mean? I feel like he's got that little bit of a spark back about him. So maybe it wasn't... I mean, obviously he's missing Scully still, but it's also having the X-Files back, having that reason to work.
I think, as we all know in life, like when something bad happers, sometimes it's just good to stay busy. So maybe
throw yourself into your work.
So maybe he's just doing that. Yeah. Mulder starts talking about the other cases, and the cop asks him how they're connected. Basically, Mulder says that the bodies have been reported to have been drained of blood with bites to the jugular, and also every mirror was smashed in the house. And Mulder also states about these writings on the wall, which hasn't been reported. So
it validates it, doesn't it?
He knows. And then we do see these writings in blood, and it's John 52:54, and the state and the actual quote is, "He who eats of my flesh and drinks my blood shall have eternal life, and I will raise him up on the last day." So
Mulder knows that off by heart. So again, you'd assume he's come across that sort of scripture before. Yeah,
because it just says John 52:54. So he's literally coming up with that. So Mulder takes a shot on of them having basically just a really literal grasp of the Bible. He thinks, because I think at this point he doesn't think, oh, this is vampires. No. He thinks it's some...
He thinks that it's people that believe they're vampires, or a cult of some sort.
Pretty much, yeah. Which is a wise thing to guess.
Logical, he even goes on later in the episode to say that he's dismissed vampires as myths.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Mulder asks if the victim was a dad, and he finds that he had 3 boys, and he says that in Memphis they murdered a man who was father to the Ellis and Sons clothiers. He says victim 2 was a Korean woman, and the 3rd one was a Jesuit. So they've all got these different connections to these different biblical or different spiritual things anyway. He then says that the first victim was a priest, the second was an only son and a family of 6. And the last was a New Age book owner who owned a shop called the Holy Spirit. So that we see there, it was a father as a priest,
Yeah.
a son, and the Holy Spirit. So they're doing these like biblical sort of killings.
Yeah.
Whether they, again,
Also, the title 3.
3.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah. Especially you mentioned to me earlier.
Yeah, I'd heard again. I thought we spoke about it on the podcast in the intro, didn't we? Or was it?
I think it was before off air. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've read in other places that some places call it 3 and some places call it Trinity. You've not come across Trinity, have you? I came across it on an X-Files wiki, I think.
Yeah. See, if I'd have seen that, I'd have thought maybe it is some kind of biblical thing, because obviously Trinity.
Yeah, you get that impression.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure whether maybe that was a mistake on someone else's behalf, but yeah, that's what it refers to anyway.
He says that he thinks this trio is some kind of like unholy trinity, and he says that they use syringes to extract blood, and they store it for later, as they have this insatiable appetite for blood, basically.
Yeah.
He does say that it's a risk, though, because these murders risk their exposure to the world. And he says previously they just worked near like blood products, like blood banks and stuff like that. The cop apologizes for being a bit aloof earlier and says that he's happy for them to work together, but Mulder dismisses this and says that he wants to work on this case on his own.
Yeah.
The cop says that the fire has them stretched, so they can't really free up resources, but Mulder says he just needs one thing. And then we cut straight to him basically circling numbers for blood banks.
Yeah.
And he calls one of them up, the Hollywood Blood Bank, and pretends to be their payroll and starts inquiring about their new employee, who they say is called Frank. And he's the new night watchman. Again, night.
Yeah.
And then, we cut straight to this blood bank. It's at night, and Mulder sort of enters the building, pulls his gun, and it's quite dark. And again, we see a lot of this red
tense scene. Isn't it? Yeah.
And there's all this red lighting again. It's a proper horror film setup of creaky floorboards creaking around. And as Mulder's turning the corner, a guy appears behind Mulder, spooks him as he spins around, and basically scares this guy as well.
Yeah.
He drops all these blood vials on the floor. He says didn't know he was there, and he says he thought it was the freaky night watchman who keeps breaking the light bulbs. They couldn't like hammer this over your head.
It's on the
more,
nose.
It's always
is on the nose.
They don't like the dark. These guys, they really don't like the dark.
Oh, they do like the dark.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's the opposite of that,
it's
isn't
opposite
it?
what you just said.
Yeah. That's correct. Mulder goes down into an office down in the basement, and it's dark. And they do like the dark.
Yeah. They do like the dark, yeah. And you can hear like these weird sounds coming from the office as well. And it's like a slurping sound.
Slurping, like a rustling.
Yeah.
And then he goes in, and he sees the door open. He gets a mirror and sort of points it round and sort of tries to have a look what it is, but it doesn't see anything there.
No, there's nothing there.
Yeah,
by the looks of it.
There's definitely nothing there. So he goes in, gun drawn, and then, as he turns the corner, we actually do see a man, and he's drinking a blood pack. He throws a jar at Mulder to try and escape, tries to run past, but Mulder just knocks him down.
Yeah, nice and easy.
Yeah,
it's the easiest arrest he's ever going to make.
And cuffs him.
Yeah.
We then cut to an interrogation room, and this guy who he's just arrested, who we find out later on is called John, or the Son, as it keeps listing him as. He's being interrogated by these two different detectives. And he's sort of like screaming in pain and like sort of writhing around on the floor. And he's asking them to turn off the lights, and he keeps saying that they're killing him. And they keep asking him for his name. Doesn't say anything, doesn't give anything up. And Mulder walks in, and he puts a lamp down that has sort of a red glow to it, turns off the light.
Yeah.
And then this makes the man stop.
This is where I realised that they'd sort of... it's very clever. They used a story element to actually direct the theme of the episode. And again, it is a very distinctive look. Like, if you was to... And I suppose you want to do this with every episode, but if you was to just put a 30-second clip of the episode on, you could tell which episode this is. Do you know, just by the look of it and the feel of the episode. And I suppose you do want to sort of separate your episodes out like that so that you can immediately tell, and it gives it its own sort of vibe so you can remember it. Yeah. But it's very clever to use a storytelling device to incorporate into that.
Yeah. the man starts panting and stops screaming now, and he looks up at them and starts like sucking the blood out of his hand.
Out of his own hand, yeah.
Yeah, really creepy. This guy is. And he says that he'll only talk to Mulder, so the other two agents leave. He says Mulder knows what they are, and Mulder starts asking, what are they? To which he says, he is the Father, I am the Son, and she is the unholy Spirit. So again, they keep hammering this sort of Trinity thing again. And Mulder asks if the three of them killed Law, and he looks up and says no. And Mulder starts saying that their prints were found, and he doesn't understand how he can deny it. To which this guy says, when a snake eats a fly, it's not murder, it just is. So this guy is sort of seeing himself as not a murderer, but he's
a
just
predator.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, which is... It's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
And I did sort of stop to think about this, because it is an interesting thought that if... And you would assume... So, I'm jumping ahead, but vampires are proven to exist. And if they genuinely feed off humans, then what's to stop? I mean, we eat animals.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a hard case to make, because killing a human is technically murder, but if you say they can't eat humans...
If you're not a human, yeah.
Yeah. It'd be like punishing a shark for eating a human, you know what I mean? It's
which we do.
Well, true, yeah. That's true, yeah, so there you go.
And that's a really weird... But we're not used to being anywhere but top of the food chain. Like, you know what I mean? Like, a lion wouldn't punish us for killing a tiger. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's really strange, but...
I think somebody was talking about this the other day, about like instant like hook for a story where that's always a good story is a world where humans aren't top of the food chain.
Yeah.
It instantly makes us an underdog.
And it's an interesting predicament. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
It sort of works with this where like you've got this like vampire group who can't die essentially. And they're just hunting people. It's like what do you do at this situation? So yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting... it's a moral quandary, because like, if you say, oh, you can't eat humans anymore, well, we'll die.
Yeah, you're committing genocide at that point, because you're killing off an entire new species.
Yeah.
And who are you to say that the human race is more important than that species?
Yeah, yeah.
It's strange, isn't it? I mean, I'm not, again, if there was vampires, I'd be like, kill them all. I don't want to die. So maybe I'm a hypocrite, but... It is an interesting moral debate, I suppose.
There's a few good ones in this, because like later on this guy, I'll just say it now because it just popped into my head, but later on this guy's basically saying how when you die, there's nothing else, whereas he'll live forever, and he's like, you know, he's doing all this to basically keep himself alive because he doesn't think there's anything else. And you kind of think, that's not completely mental, like really, when you think of it. Like, don't get me wrong, he's paying a high cost, which Mulder says, but he's doing it ultimately because he's like, I don't want to die, and it's like that's something anyone can relate to. So
yeah, but again, on the other hand,
you have to murder.
You're taking someone else's choice away from them, aren't you? So it's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Luckily, there's no vampires. I hope.
Ooh. If there are any vampires listening,
get in touch. I'd like.
I once spoke to someone who claimed to be a vampire. Actually,
did you?
Yeah. They were an IT technician.
What?
Yeah. They were in a vampire society. I'm not going to...
Oh my days, really?
I don't want to say their name in case...
No, don't say the name. Don't
It's a very distinctive name. When he told me his name, I had to ask him 3 times what his name was.
Yeah. God.
Yeah.
I wouldn't out him, but is that... What did he do?
I don't know.
Did he drink blood?
I don't know. I don't think so. They just sort of acted to be vampires.
Yeah.
It's really you shouldn't laugh, because at the end of the day, this is how someone chooses to live their life.
Yeah.
But the corporate picture of the company I was dealing with was absolutely hilarious, because it was man in a shirt and tie, woman in a skirt, man who looked like Meatloaf. It was unbelievable that this was a real thing that I was looking at. But again, this is just how he lives his life. I mean, fair play to him. If he wants to be a vampire, he can be a vampire. He can claim to be a vampire. You know what I mean? Like,
If
who am
he
I
wants.
to say that he?
No,
can't
that's
do that?
fair. It's interesting.
Yeah, it was. That was possibly the weirdest call I'd ever had in my AT career. Anyway, we've gone off on a bit of a tangent there. Mulder asks if he's dead, which sounds a bit of a weird question, but at the end of the day, if he's dealing with somebody who's claiming to be a vampire, then it's a fair enough question to ask.
Yeah.
And this guy says that he never will be, and he asks if Mulder would want to live forever, and it's, again, I should have waited until it was right next. And Mulder says, well, not if drawstring pants come back in style.
Oh, Mulder. Oh, you sassy guy.
He's always got a line, isn't he, this guy?
What's wrong with drawstring pants?
Are they like jogging bottoms and stuff?
Basically, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't wear.
convenient.
Yeah, I wouldn't wear them out, but like for the house, they're brilliant, aren't they?
I mean, I don't think it'd stop me. I wouldn't turn down eternal life for them.
Yeah. I mean, I could probably deal with drawstring pants.
I feel like it's one of those things I could deal with.
Yeah, killing and murdering though, I don't know. That might sort of screw you up eventually.
Yeah, I do it anyway, so
Might as well get a benefit, I suppose. Anyway, before you incriminate yourself in something. The son, or John, says that there's no afterlife, and he knows this because when he prolongs his life by taking another's life, all he sees in their eyes is horror, that they know that there's nothing else. And he says there's no heaven, no soul, only rot and decay. This guy is like a 14-year-old who's just discovered Marilyn Manson, and he's very like
very dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, very gothic in his descriptions.
Yeah, all of his dialogue sounded like just like somebody who really wanted to be edgy. I did like this monologue he was giving though because of the lighting more than anything. This red lighting, black.
It works really well for the entire episode, to be honest.
Yeah. And he says he'll never have to face that. But Mulder says that that's a bit of a stiff price to pay, having to drink blood, live in the darkness.
Yeah.
He also says not be able to see their reflection, but he asks, is that just a myth? Mulder starts then looking in a mirror and actually sees him in a mirror. So this is again where he just thinks, this guy's just talking crap.
But why did they break all the mirrors?
I don't know. Like, maybe it's just sort of like a symbolic thing or something like that. I don't know.
Well, this brings me nicely onto one of my flaws for this episode, and I thought this episode was very confusing.
Yeah,
not in the sense of I couldn't follow it, in the sense of some of it just didn't make sense, I thought. And it was very rushed. But, like, for example, this is a good example of it because, like, they explain a woman that we meet later who is made out to be the unholy spirit.
Yeah, that's that.
But she turned out not to be.
Throughout the entire episode, I thought she was the third person until like that scene with Mulder and that at the end. But
by pure coincidence, she doesn't have any mirrors in the house, and she breaks the mirror on her makeup. I don't know what you call it, but
the compact thing.
Yeah, the compact mirror thing. So she breaks the mirror on that. But that's pure coincidence. That's literally because she doesn't like the way she looks. And then these guys do it, but like, there's no reason for it because you can see. I don't understand it. But it's never really explained. You know what I mean? It was a bit weird. That's
maybe
all.
they like to play up to the myth.
Yeah, maybe.
They don't order garlic bread either when they go to a.
Yeah,
maybe.
They take all the garlic out of the house every time they go in.
Yeah. There's a stream. I can't cross it. Yeah, they just role play.
That is a vampire myth as well, isn't it? Yeah, you can't cross streams. Yeah. But again,
silver burns. Any more that we remember?
So isn't
silver kills werewolves, but it burns vampires,
does it?
Doesn't it?
Oh,
I think.
Oh yeah, I think it does. Yeah, and
I don't know.
It's the cross as well, isn't it? Obviously.
The cross. They can't look at the cross, and it burns them as well. I don't know. There's loads.
Yeah.
I think they're just collected from all sorts of like myths of different stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, but yeah, the son says that anything worth anything has a price, and he says that when he's standing over Mulder's deathbed, looking as young as he does now, then he'll tell him that the price. Well, he says, will he tell him then that the price is too stiff? Mulder says that he's more likely he will be looking into his eyes as he goes into the gas chamber, and so again, Mulder's just not buying it at this point, and he says. He won't face that if he tells them where the others are, basically asking him to rat out the other two.
Yeah.
I say rat out like it's a bad thing.
Snitches get stitches.
or steaks in this case.
Snakes get steaks.
That works. Good.
Thank you.
And he sort of says, why bother giving them up? Because they're the only ones that can kill him. Mulder says that if he is what he says he is, then he knows what can kill him. To which we see the sun rising, and we see John in a jail cell with a window sort of facing as the sun is sort of coming up in the morning.
Yeah, so it's sort of filling half the room with sunlight at the moment, and John's in the dark half of the cell.
So sort of
but we know that the sun's going to sort of slowly but surely fill the cell.
Fill the room, basically. Mulder asks again where the other two are, and the sun just spits on the floor. So Mulder gives up, walks out and says to the guard if he wants to talk, cover the window up and call him. And the detective says, what if he turns into a bat? I think he was half joking here.
I think he's definitely joking.
And Mulder just says that he's delusional. He says, but they need to play up to his beliefs to try and get him to talk. And the detective tells him he should get some sleep. But Mulder says that he doesn't sleep anymore, so it says that he's really been affected by Scully's disappearance at this point.
Yeah. You see, again, he's like a man on a mission. But he almost says it like smirking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, Mulder brings me on to my second flaw of this episode. And I enjoyed the episode, don't get me wrong, but Mulder does a lot of things out of character in this episode, which we'll get to, but yeah, it just seems a little bit, he doesn't seem to care as much as he did the last 6 episodes.
Yeah, he does seem a bit like out of sorts, doesn't he? But maybe that's just because he's down and out, or
possibly.
Anyway, we get to 2 hours later, and the sun's now reaching John's feet, basically. And he starts running up and down.
I thought you meant like the sun as in the son, the father.
Yeah.
The sun is reaching like John's feet.
Touching his toes. I'm going to tickle this confession out of him. And he starts like panicking and running up and down like sort of this little bit of darkness that he's got left. But eventually the sun does get to his feet. And they start smoking. And he starts screaming. The guard tries to open up the door, but in classic guard style, he's there fumbling the key. He's probably dropping them and all this. And the sun falls forward. This is confusing. The sun and the sun.
Yeah.
John falls forward and his skin starts blistering. And by the time they've opened the door, he's severely burnt and he just lets out a death rattle and dies.
What a different episode it would have been if the sun actually fell forward onto the... And then, like, oh my god, like...
Melted the planet.
The Earth is dying. And, like, the vampires are just, like, the least of anyone's worries right now. Oh.
As we now have a star on our hands.
X-Files.
That is spooky, I'll tell you that. There's a doctor looking at his body, at John's body. And he notices that he's had a skull rupture from steam pressure, he says, and some other symptoms as well, which he says is an indication of lung exposure to extreme temperature, not 5 minutes in the sun, basically, of what happened to this guy. Mulder asks if there's any flammable material in the room, and which the doctor says no. And Mulder's quite shocked because he was convinced that this was all a psychological thing. It wasn't an actual...
He dismisses vampires as myth. That's what he thought.
Yeah, exactly.
But it looks like maybe not.
Yeah, well, definitely not.
No, he's definitely a vampire.
Yeah. Which sort of opens it up. It's quite a weird thing now, because, like, we've seen aliens, obviously.
We've gone for spiritual things as well now, yeah.
That's the thing. We've seen ghosts, we've seen aliens, and now it's like a vampire, which is...
We've seen werewolves as well, which is along the same lines, I suppose.
Yeah, so even that though was like a ghost spirit inhabiting.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right.
Whereas this is just like a mythological creature.
What was the werewolf called again?
The Manitou.
Manitou. Yeah, I couldn't remember the name.
And the only reason I remember it was because I saw a tractor or something that was also called Manitou.
Oh, okay.
Spelled the exact same way, but no connection apparently.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I don't know, just random name. The doctor mentioned something called Gunther's disease. Which has symptoms of, and I wrote this down, and I thought, this might come in handy. Congenital erythropoietic porphyria.
Well done.
I'm going to give that.
Well done.
I'm hoping I got that right.
I think I'm pretty sure that's right.
Which also creates cutaneous photosensitivity. So, basically means if ear burn in the sun.
Yeah, it does. And isn't there like a side effect? They mentioned a side effect where you crave blood.
Yeah, you get, what's it called now?
There was a reason for it, and I can't remember what he
Yeah,
says.
you basically have like I think it's a red blood cell deficiency or something like that.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he mentions that they have to basically ingest blood. It's a hema deficiency.
Oh, okay, there you go. There you go.
Because Mulder basically says that this guy's got 4th degree burns, not just like blistering.
But it does mention that illness that the doctor states is the basis for the vampire myth as a whole.
Yeah,
which is interesting. I've never heard. I don't know. Is that true?
I'm sure I've heard somewhere that there is something called pyrethia, which the only reason I know that is because they named the vampire disease in Oblivion, the game, the Elder Scrolls game.
Yes.
They named that pyrethia, which is based on a real disease.
Oh, okay,
So,
interesting.
And it is. I think it's just you're allergic to the sun and
and you just almost burn up because of it.
Yeah. Mulder said that he dismissed their existence as a myth. And the doctor says that he's upsetting him on many levels.
Yeah. I like this scene because it was just like, he didn't go on any further. He just, you're upsetting me, Mulder, on many levels.
Just shut up about it. I don't want to know.
A man of science, just refusing to listen to any evidence.
Mulder asks, when will the blood test be back? The doctor says it'll be in the next week. And Mulder notices that he's got a stain on his hand, like a purple stain, and the doctor says that it could be quite hit the nail on the head straight away.
Yeah.
He says it might be an ink stamp given out in clubs.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's a good guess. And he says that the heat might have burnt it on permanently. And the doctor gets this lamp and puts it over his skin.
This is disgusting. This bit.
He says that it's some old coroner's trick. To which Mulder says that he can make a coin appear from behind his ear is his trick. And the doctor, I'm guessing this lamp heats up the skin to where he can peel it back.
Oh, it's so horrible.
And we see Club Tepes. So
I wonder where the name comes from. The genuine look of disdain as you for a second thought, he didn't listen to my production notes.
We're doing them again. We then cut straight to Club Tepes, and it's a loud goth club, basically. There's no...
Very edgy.
Yeah, it reminds me of Planet.
Yeah.
It's a...
again, very niche
reference. There's a nightclub near us that's a rock club called Planet. There we go.
There we go.
And
very sticky floors, Planet.
Yeah, sticky floor. It also has cages. So
it does have cages, yeah. Well, one cage.
Yeah, one cage. The most horrifying thing I ever saw in Planet was on a Halloween, and there were 3 clowns dancing in this cage, which is honestly like a nightmare.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
But anyway, I digress. We see a picture of Vlad the Impaler on the wall. So again,
what's the Vlad the Impaler on the wall?
Yeah.
So it is themed on them then.
Yeah,
that's why they call
yeah.
the bar that. Okay, I see.
Yeah, do you know when you walk in and there's that big portrait of a man?
Yeah, I didn't realise. I didn't realise.
Yeah, it's Vlad the Impaler. We see all these like sort of shaved head like women, and then there's some other people dancing in cages. And there's also a film playing. Did you get what this film was? I didn't know it. I've never seen it in my life. It is called Ein Stand Such einen Morden.
Oh.
I don't know what that translates to. Morder.
What's the film about? Do you know?
I have no idea. But morder sounds like murder, so I'm guessing it's some kind...
assume and carry on. I like it.
I'm going to guess it's some kind of like 1930... It might be a noir film, actually.
Could be, yeah.
Let's assume. Mulder enters, and this is definitely not his type of place.
No.
Which brings me on to a question. I don't know if you've asked this before. What music does Mulder listen to?
Oh, I reckon it's what's his music game? I'm gonna say I reckon it's rap. You know.
See, I was either gonna go. It's either like that 90s
East
rap.
Coast rap.
Yeah,
bro. East Coast rap, not West Coast.
I either thought that or he's a Springsteen guy.
Oh, he might be. You know,
that classic
works.
anthem rock.
Yeah,
I reckon.
What about Scully? She's got a bit of blues.
Jazz, I thought, with with Scully. She's like the intellectual, likes to concentrate and stuff.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
What about Skinner?
Heavy metal.
No, he's not. He's a proper dad.
No,
he'd be listening to Westlife in the car.
I reckon maybe that's what he's like now. But his look, he looks like a hardcore kid from the 80s. Like back in the day, this guy was right there in the pits with Bad Brains throwing it around.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And now he's sort of put on the suit. He's put on the suit. He's become the man that he hated.
Yeah, I like it.
There we go.
That's why he was so angry.
Yeah,
because he's not this corporate stooge he's turned into.
He never wanted to be this,
but he gets the opportunity. Mulder shows him the way. He could be that rebel again.
Yeah,
We've figured out.
He was a hardcore punk kid.
We don't have to watch the rest of the show.
Just imagine him with posters of bloody dead Kennedys on the wall and everything.
Oh, God. I think we've got them all pretty spot on there.
We'll have to... What do you think cigarette smoking man's into? Electro. He likes alien-like music, you know what I mean?
What, new wave?
Tubular bells, probably, you know what I mean? But anyway, if you've got any suggestions of what music the cast...
Yeah, what do you think they like? To be fair, we might see them listening to music at a later episode.
Yeah. I mean, we've already seen, what's his name? Dwayne Barry.
We know what Dwayne Barry likes.
He likes
Nick Cave.
He likes Nick Cave, yeah.
So that's okay. Have we heard... We know what Richard Matheson likes.
Yeah.
He likes classical.
Yeah.
I don't think we've heard Mulder or Scully listen to music yet.
No, not yet.
You know what? Mulder might be the type of guy to turn the radio off and put talk radio on.
He probably puts that, what's it called, Coast to Coast. Do you know that call-in show where people used to call in with conspiracies? It's interesting because if you could ever go on YouTube, listen to some old Coast to Coast calls, because there's a lot of people who just sound mental on it. But then there's some you're like, this is plausible and scary.
Yeah.
So I reckon he probably listens to that. What's his name? Arthur Bell or something like that.
I'll give it a listen.
Art Bell.
I mean, I know we're going off on a tangent constantly, but did you see the news this week?
Oh, about the UFO.
The UFO. UFO over Ireland.
UFA.
Yeah, the UFO over Ireland.
Yeah. I saw that in an X-Files group, actually.
Oh, did you? I just saw it on, it was I think it was BBC News or something like that. It was just a site. There was a couple of planes flying, I think it was from Los Angeles, actually, to Ireland, and they saw bright lights pull up alongside of them, and then veer off north at twice the sound of speed. I think it was Mach 2. They was going, that's what the pilot suggested. And they was calling in, asking if anything was in the area, or there was a military program. A lot like some of the theories we've heard on here.
Yeah.
And they said, no, nothing's in the area. But multiple reports reported these lights. Very interesting stuff.
Maybe more test planes, or...
It makes me laugh. I mean, maybe, but it makes me laugh because that's the article. Before I did this podcast, I just breezed straight past it. Yeah. And then when I saw it on BBC News, now I'm doing this podcast, the first article I clicked on, I was like, UFOs? Yes, please.
You've become the lone gunman.
I think Mulder would be proud of me.
Any type of conspiracy now, you're like, I'm in on this.
I'm in.
Yeah. Anyway, where was I? Mulder, we now see him walk past a woman who's using a makeup mirror, and Mulder stares at her, and she just says to him, "Are you about to ask what a normal person like her is doing in a place like this?" He sits down and asks her, what does she define as normal? And she orders red wine and says that she doesn't. So, again,
he's
more
very flirty.
I think literally from the moment these two meet, they just constantly are flirting with one another.
Yeah, but to be fair, I thought originally, he's just trying to sort of scope it out and just try sort of go undercover, if you like. Little do we know later,
he's going to scope her out, all right.
Well, yeah, he is, yeah.
She says that she says that you've lost someone, a friend, and he starts looking a bit spooked by this. She pays for the wine, and as she does this, we see a syringe in her bag. So immediately I thought, oh, this is the woman of the Trinity.
Yeah.
And I was convinced that she was, throughout the entire episode up until the end. So
it's, again, really strange.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, but...
It was a weird episode for that, because it just doesn't... It doesn't... I mean, it's not... You can get it. It does explain itself, but it just feels... just forced, almost. It's very strange.
Mulder recites the John Bible quote that we saw from earlier.
Which she, responds to immediately.
Yeah, she completes it. She says that he's afraid of her. And she says that she takes the lives of others inside her, into her blood. So again, she keeps talking about taking blood from people and life from people.
And by the end of the episode, I guess you're supposed to assume she's just being edgy again.
Yeah.
And she's just being weird for weird's sake, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they do sort of mention later on that they do something called blood sports, which...
Yeah, she does...
Which
she definitely drinks blood because she makes a blood pie or whatever it's called.
That bit made me. I was like, "What is this?" Yeah.
It was really weird. I thought.
I mean, they explain it, but yeah, I don't know. A blood pie. Yeah, I mean, they say blood sports later on. Isn't that like a sexual thing?
I've got no idea what blood sports is.
Because I know,
shall I have a look?
To not be crude, I know water sports is with another liquid.
Water polo. Water volley. Yeah, I know what water sports are.
But I'm sure I've read somewhere that blood sports is like when you do stuff with cutting and stuff like that, and I don't know.
It says here blood sports is a sport involving the hunting, wounding, or killing of animals, such as dogfighting and cockfighting.
I thought it was like a slang term for it, maybe.
A blood sport is a category of sport or entertainment that involves bloodshed.
I know,
Common examples of the former include combat sports, such as cockfighting, dogfighting, and some forms of hunting and fishing.
Yeah, I know, that counts as blood sport, the official version of blood sport.
Why do you have to make everything sexual?
You know me. You heard my voice at the beginning. So.
Yeah, to be fair. Yeah. This is the sexy episode of Most Unwanted.
Yeah. He says, Mulder says that he needs to know, and she grabs his hand and leads him away. And the camera zooms, and we see another man at the bar. And at this point, I assumed, is this the father that we've not seen before?
Certain it was, yeah.
And he starts sucking his own blood again.
Which confirms it pretty much.
Mulder and this woman sit down at a new place, and she gets a syringe out. She says that she deals in her real life with equity notes and bonds, and she says that this gives her life. She pricks her finger and holds it up and says that her name is Kristen, which is a normal name, is what she says. Mulder pushes her finger away and starts saying, "Don't you worry about AIDS," basically.
Yeah.
Safety first, Mulder.
Yeah,
I'll let this go.
I mean, he's got a very good point, to be honest. Yeah. Doesn't he literally just says AIDS?
Pretty much, yeah.
AIDS, don't you worry. Yeah. I thought it was very Ricky Gervais like.
yeah, it's quite blunt, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, but in these, you always hear about people in clubs need to be safe, not sorry. Yeah. So fair play to Mulder. But she says to this, she laughs and says she wishes that she could die. So again playing up to that stereotype.
Is she just trying to be
I think she's just trying to be dark and mysterious.
Yeah, maybe. But then why are you being
hunted by vampires? Apparently,
I don't understand it. Yeah, okay.
And at this point, she walks away and starts kissing somebody else.
Yeah, straight on to the next guy.
Yeah,
Mulder looks on jealous.
Yeah, he's sort of just left there. The man starts sucking the blood from her finger, so he's got no qualms about it.
Nope.
He doesn't worry about this.
No.
That'll literally be his downfall. Mulder sort of looks a bit disgusted as well at seeing this, and she walks past, and Mulder gets up and follows her, and the father watches on and pulls out a cigarette. We then see we're at 8426 Melrose Avenue, and we see a sign of an eagle a sun. It says Ra on the sun, so I don't know if this is some kind of like... I don't know why.
Ra is the
Egyptian
god of sun.
Yeah, that's the thing, but it's not really...
It's not relevant at all.
No,
He just goes,
just
sun.
Sun, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah.
It's so forced. Like, it makes no difference.
Yeah, I thought that was weird because he pulls up and he just says the Father and the Son, and it's like, yeah. Okay, I guess.
But he does it later, and he finishes it off like 2 scenes later.
The
and the Holy Spirit.
Trinity, yeah. Okay, well done.
I mean, again, I sound like I'm bagging on it. I actually enjoyed the episode for what it was.
Yeah.
But it is a little bit kooky.
Yeah, there are some weird parts in it, but anyway, he looks in one of the open windows and he sees. I thought it was Kristen. Am I right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's Kristen. And she's sucking this man's blood, basically, that we saw. And we see Kristen, and she's drinking this guy's blood, basically. Is
she now? I thought they were just kissing.
I don't know. He's got blood bleeding from him.
He's got like blood on his chest. Yeah, I'm assuming they're doing the whole, cutting each other thing.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's just foreplay at this point.
Maybe, yeah. This guy, if anyone cares, his name is David Young. A car pulls up and it flashes its lights on, and both of Mulder and Kristen both look towards where the light's coming from.
Yeah. But of course, Kristen just sees Mulder's face in the window.
Yeah, creepy Mulder.
Very creepy Mulder.
Mulder tries the door, but it's locked. So he runs around to another...
He's panicking at this point, because he knows he's been caught.
Pretty much. And he runs around another way to try and get in, but he gets kicked in the face, and it turns out, and it's Young.
Rightfully so, to be fair. You've just caught a man literally watching you and this girl undressing each other. Yeah, rightfully so. You're going to get...
It's his next line that made me laugh, because he just says, "Hey, we're two consenting adults," and it's like... It's like, okay, no need to clarify.
Like, you're worried about something here.
Yeah. It's definitely okay, don't worry about it. It's like, alright, mate. The lady doth protest too much, I think, at his way. And he tells Mulder to get the hell out of here. Young goes back in, and he starts calling for Kristen at this point. He takes off his shirt and he doesn't hear anything. And she's just disappeared. He looks around for her and he says that it's his turn. Again, he's been a bit creepy.
Yeah, he is.
He takes a strawberry out of the fridge and he sees a woman in the doorway. Initially I thought, it's Kristen again. But I think this is the unholy
I think it is,
spirit.
But then where's Kristen gone?
Maybe she's just legged it. Maybe she knew that these people were coming now and she's gone.
Maybe,
I don't know. I'm making reasons for it now, but I don't know. He says that he's took care of that guy, and then he gets hit by this dude.
They take care of him.
They take care of him, yeah. The father puts him on the floor, throws him into a wall, and then they jump on him and start eating him, basically, at this point. We then see the same scene, and it's now crime scene. Young's body's on the floor. The police are here, and Detective Gwynn, he has a name apparently, says that the murderers cut the power and the phones, which is part of their MO. And another doctor, Dr. Jacobs, has been requested by Mulder to do a forensic sort of sweep. Mulder says that he wants him to look for anything that's unnatural.
Yeah.
Which the doctor doesn't really flinch at.
No. Well, I mean, I suppose it's a normal request, because you got to think like murder would be unnatural. Do you know what I mean? Like a stab wound. So
that's true. He starts investigating Young's body, and Mulder starts looking around the kitchen. He sees that all these mirrors are smashed again.
Yeah.
And he also finds this compact, and we actually see that there's no mirror in it, is there?
No, and it's hers, isn't it? It's Kristen's from the club.
Yeah.
But you see that there's no mirror in the club.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I didn't realise that.
So that's how Mulder finds her. That's why he chooses her out of all the girls in the club to go for, because he notices that there's no mirror in her makeup disc.
I didn't notice that part. He also sees some open cans of raspberry sauce. There's prints on it, so they start taking the prints from there. Mulder goes back to Dr. Jacobs, and he says that the bites are definitely human, but they've been made by 3 different people. So, Mulder's back at the police station, and he's looking at Kristen's file. And
if there's 3 different people, who's that third one? Because John's dead.
That is true. Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that, yeah.
Yeah, so, well, who is it? We
Who's
don't
the
know.
third person?
I suppose we'll have to watch the rest of the episode to find
We'll
out.
find out, yeah. Oh, teasing me again.
I was going to get into... What do you sing that? Tease me.
I have no idea who sings
You know
it.
the song, though.
I know the song, yeah.
Till I lose control.
We'll have a look later.
Yeah.
Mulder's looking at Kristen's file, and he notes the addresses of when the killings have been happening and her previous addresses, and sort of notices that she's been moving with these people.
Yeah.
And then he, again, as we said earlier, he just says out loud, "The unholy spirit."
Yeah.
Again, probably not necessary. It feels like they're trying to hammer the plot home at this point. Maybe it is too complex, or it is a bit too convoluted.
It's a strange one, it really is, yeah.
Mulder goes to Kristen's house, and Mulder has like backup. They try the door and it's locked, but they basically break in, I guess. They start searching the property, and the cop, one of the cops finds veterinary needles, which is what we saw earlier.
Yeah.
And he also finds a snake bite kit, which has blood in it as well. This is when he goes to the oven, sees the oven is on, and there's a loaf in there.
Yeah.
It looked like, well, it's like bread. And he opens it up, and it's...
He just sticks his fingers right in there, doesn't he?
Yeah, and it's filled with blood.
Yeah.
And he notes to the other police officer that she's gone and she isn't coming back.
Yeah.
We're then staying at that house, but it's 2:15 in the morning, and we see this like blood moon, basically this red moon, and there's more like shots of the fire. And Kristen comes back, she starts laying her hair down, and we see that Mulder's sat in the room and he's waiting for her.
So did he lie to the police to get them out?
So yeah, I think he's just trying to like get her on his own.
Really
but...
strange, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't
know why. Why is he so insistent on?
Unless he's he is attracted to her or something.
Well, you get that impression, but it's sort of character for him.
I don't know. Yeah,
but I mean, we're almost at that scene. So the scene that I really don't like.
Mulder introduces himself. He says that he's FBI, and he says that they're after her. At this point, I don't know if he meant the FBI or these vampires that he's talking about. And he says that there's the bread filled with blood is a protection in Eastern European folklore against vampires.
Yeah.
And she asks if he's protecting her now. And he says that they need to take her into protective custody as they, and this is where I assume he means the vampires, are trying to kill her.
Is the bread filled with blood, is that protection, do you have to eat it? Or is it like, you leave it on the table, and when the vampires come in, they're going to come and kill you, and then they go, oh, hang on.
Bready pudding.
There's a lovely loaf of blood here.
Red bread, yeah.
I might tuck into this first, and then you hear them, and you just get out the window. Is that the way it works?
I mean, you're going to have to consult some Eastern European law experts.
Okay. I'll get onto that for the next episode.
Unfortunately.
Maybe we could get a guest on.
Some professor. We'll basically be like the X-Files at that point. If we start getting professors into...
Yeah, I like that. We could be Mulder and Scully.
Yeah, okay. I don't feel like we'd crack any cases.
No, we just talk to people.
Yeah, I guess so.
Much the same as what we're doing now.
Pretty much, yeah. And she asks why they're alone. And she says, is it because that he thinks he's not afraid of her, basically? If he wants to believe what he thinks they are. So she's assuming that she thinks that he is a vampire.
It's so convoluted.
Yeah.
I didn't. This is my problem. I was just like, what? It makes sense if you break it down.
Yeah,
but when I was watching it, I was just like, what? What's going on?
It is a bit like I say, it's just convoluted for no reason.
Yeah.
It just is. And I don't know why. They seem to... It's not that it's not like Blood, where it was too many plot lines sort of thrown in. It was just one plot line, but it was just so weirdly written, I found.
I agree.
But, she says that the change in the winds and the fires that are burning can come this way. And then she asks if Mulder's ever tasted blood before, and she says that she knows that he hasn't. She says it tastes like danger. And he asks how she's connected to the other murders. To which she goes on to tell basically her backstory. She says that her father used to beat her, And she says that this is how he showed his love. And she says one night he hit her so hard it knocked out her teeth and blood poured down her throat. And she said this is the only way that she knew she was alive. She says she met John in Chicago. And this is who we know as the son. And he says that he also beat her. And she says it's the way it works sometimes. So she's just used to this cycle, I suppose. She says she was angry with him, jumped on him, bit his lip, and they both tasted their blood. And this is when she says that they got into blood sports.
Which, again, it sort of paints the picture that she's not a vampire. She just likes the taste of blood.
I think you can. I suppose you can have a fetish for anything. So these have just got like a fetish for blood, I guess, and obviously John takes it too far. By the sound of it. Yeah. Because, definitely takes it too far.
But in this episode, again, they don't really paint it out, but it sounds like in order to make that transition from human to vampire, you have to kill a believer. Yeah. That's the sort of... They don't really paint it out until way at the end, but... So obviously she hasn't done that.
Pretty much. She says she lost him after that, and she says when he came home next... he had two others with him, and she says it turned unnatural. She says she left and moved, and Mulder says that they've basically been following her, and they want her. And she says she's tired of running. She sees Mulder's cross and sort of laughs and says, "Is this him trying to ward her off?" And he says it's from someone he lost, and she says she hopes he finds her. Mulder says that John's dead, and they're informing her of what happened earlier. But they found another, referencing this third person. Yeah. He says she should go to the station, and she says that without John, they won't come after her. Yeah. Bit of a tongue twister there.
A little bit of a tongue twister.
Mulder says that he'll stay with her, and they say that they need to clean up. Yeah. We get a hot bod shot number 2 of the season. We see Mulder.
Shaving shot.
Shaving shot, yeah.
Yeah. She said shaving shot. He said she said.
Kristen comes in and he notes that there's no mirrors in this house, which is something you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, but again, not for the same reason. It just happens to be a coincidence.
Yeah, she just doesn't like herself, apparently. Yeah. But it's sad, I suppose.
I mean,
yeah. He says that this makes shaving quite hard. So she helps him, basically.
Yeah.
And
I would never let someone else shave me.
It's a bit of a weird thing to do, isn't it? Like, I don't know. It's
a lot of trust you're putting in that person.
I've seen Sweeney Todd as well.
Good point.
And puts all this trust, and then she nicks him and
straight
gets some
away.
blood. I feel like she did this on purpose, probably.
Yeah, she did.
There's some blood. She tries to lick it, but he says it's not who she is, and she has to stop.
Yeah.
And they kiss.
Like a passionate kiss as well.
Yeah, really.
And Mulder reciprocates.
Yeah. I mean, an easy scene for him probably because this is his at the time girlfriend. So.
I mean, yeah, of course. Yeah. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever though. Like, he's basically a grieving man at this point. We've seen he's got feelings. Like, regardless of whether he's got romantic feelings for Scully, this has been the last thing on his mind. It just doesn't make sense.
Saying that though, you do hear that like in or you see it in like war films and stuff when like a widow thinks that their husband's died or something like that.
They move on straight away.
Not that they move on straight away. You make it sound so callous.
Well, I mean, it feels callous as well.
But like,
I felt hurt on Scully's behalf.
But they find like comfort in like somebody else, you know what I mean? And like this can like end up in this case being a sexual thing. So
I suppose, yeah. I'm not happy with it.
No.
Something didn't sit right with me.
Mulder, you know better.
You know better than this, Mulder.
Also, what's going to happen here? He knows that already she's into like blood. I'm pretty sure he does.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
I mean, the passionate kiss and then him being in her bed sort of
I mean, he's fully clothed. That's the only thing that... But...
I mean, you can do it with clothes on.
Yeah, I suppose you can.
So... Yeah. Also, I think 94 was probably too early to have dick shots. This was not Game of Thrones, you know what I mean? I don't think we could see that.
That's a good point.
So maybe that was the only reason. Then again, we've seen him in his pants, so in his speedos, so could have gone pants. That would have made your day at least.
Yeah, I do like that.
Before we finish this scene, the camera pans round and we see John, and he's alive. and he's watching on like a little perv. Again, I honestly, every time I see him in the scene, he just reminds me of like a 14-year-old goth kid who's just like learnt about like anything in the world. Well, that and just dark stuff. Yeah. And he's just like, ugh. And,
but more importantly, he's alive.
He is alive. Sorry.
Well, that's the main point to take away from this.
He's not dead. He's not burnt. He's completely okay.
Yeah.
We then see Kristen basically walking through the house later on, and John grabs her and puts his hand over her mouth, and he says he's been watching, and says he had to wait for her to finish to tell her that it's true. And he says he was surprised as anyone, and he says that she can live forever. And he says everyone dies, but they just come back.
Yeah.
And he says the spirit showed him, the unholy spirit. And he says, so this confirming that she's not the unholy spirit, which is what we assume now anyway. And
it looks like she started it all off as well.
Yeah. Especially when you see later on that like she has a Romanian accent, so you have to think that she's like they keep talking about these Eastern European like folklores. Maybe she's a lot older than you think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Could be.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's not really spoke about, and you don't really learn anything. So, but it's just an assumption. And he says that they live in a different world. He says no one outside of their world can kill them, but they can kill you. And he apologized for what he did. And he says what he did was wrong, and he's going to go to hell, or he would go to hell for it, he says.
If he died.
If he died.
But he's not going to.
Yeah. But he says that he loves her, and he wants to atone for eternity. He tells her to kill him, and we'll be together. He says they need to drink the blood of the spirit. In this case, I think they mean Mulder as the spirit, the normal spirit, the believer. And he says that they need to do it before the sun comes up. He cuts her hand and tells her to cut him open. And then we see Mulder asleep in her bed, as we mentioned earlier. Kristen enters with a knife, and he wakes up quite sharply and says that she says that he has to go. She lies and tells him that it's the fire when he asks if it's them, and she tells him to take her car. She pulls the knife out again, and Mulder jumps back thinking he's going to get stabbed, basically. Yeah. But she just stabs
into the darkness.
Yeah. What we find out is she's stabbing the shit out of the father who's hidden in the cupboard.
Yeah. Basically, what we assume to be dead. Yeah.
Yeah. And but as he falls down, she says that he's not dead, and she also says that John's alive. They both run out of the bedroom. Mulder pulls his gun, but as they're walking down the hall, he gets jumped by John. They have a fight, and Mulder knocks him down with this object. It looks like a pole or something like that. And then ties him up with the cable from like a lamp. They both leave, go to get in the car, but this second woman, I don't think this is the first time we've seen her. I think the silhouette is her, but this is the first time we've seen her actually as... in the light.
It would make sense.
She jumps on the bonnet of the car and punches through the skylight. So now we know they've got some strength to them, I think. And pulls Mulder out. She tries to bite him. But Kristen reverses the car and they both tumble off. Mulder kicks the woman in the face, and she sort of just doesn't really get affected by it.
Nonplussed.
And starts looking at him and starts, in the subtitles, it said, speaks Romanian. So,
okay.
So that's where I'm getting this, Romanian
European,
but Kristen slams on the accelerator and just rams the car into it.
I like this scene.
Yeah.
Because there was these sort of, wooden poles on the wall. And you don't see anything, but you just see blood on this wooden pole, and as her head sort of slides out of shot.
Yeah, so you can sort of,
you can tell that she's, basically been impaled in the head.
Mulder goes to check on Kristen, and she says that she can't leave without him, meaning John. Mulder goes and checks on him, gets his gun, and runs over to untie John, but then he hears, tyres screeching. He runs back outside and sees that the car's gone. Starts running down the lane after the car, and he notices it's just left on the side of the road now.
Yeah.
And it's empty. And then we cut back to the house, and Kristen is here in the house.
Yeah, she duped him.
I know, yeah. How did she get back up?
I don't know. I wondered whether she just let the car roll.
Maybe, but you hear the I don't know, unless it's a string. I don't know.
I don't know myself.
I don't want to think too much about this.
No, I know.
But we see Kristen pouring out petrol onto the floor as we see this the unholy spirit now bleeding, as you mentioned. And she starts pouring it around by John as well. And John says that they will rise up and that they can't kill us. And he says that she's not one of us, but she says that she will soon be. John looks on as she licks blood from a believer, which is from the back of her head.
Yeah.
And I guess this is Mulder's blood. I don't know when he was bleeding.
No, it's her blood, isn't it?
Oh, is she the believer?
Because she's going to kill herself.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
See, I completely didn't get that. Yeah,
and then, but the thing is, sorry to skip ahead,
Yeah.
but like, she torches the place. It blows up like ridiculously.
To be honest, that's summing up the end scene anyway.
So
yeah.
it blows up. It's a little bit ridiculous because it's like this huge explosion
From pouring a bit of petrol on the floor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but it blows up, and they're all dead.
Yeah, they all just burn.
So it's like, what? I thought he was invincible. Like,
Yeah.
what?
I guess the only thing is that he says that they can only be
vampires
killed.
kill vampires.
It says that they can only be killed by somebody in their world.
And if
So
she turned into a vampire at that moment, killed herself. Yeah, okay.
Really convenient though.
Yeah, I mean, it's clever, I suppose. Yeah.
But yeah, John's screaming as she does this. We see a big explosion and Mulder just looks devastated looking on. Then the final scene, we see Mulder just sat in the grass as a fireman approaches him. And he says that he's sorry and there were 4 bodies in the house and all are dead. Mulder asks about the remains and the fireman says that it's just ash and bone because of the heat. And then we see smoke as Mulder starts... Well, we see smoke in the distance as Mulder starts looking at his cross and we fade to black. Yeah. And that's the end of the episode. So, what did you think?
I liked the style. I liked the themes. I liked the idea. I just don't think it was very well executed.
That is pretty bang on of what I was going to say. The actual theming of it, I really enjoyed because it's like I mentioned earlier, it's that 90s type of vampire, and it reminded me a lot like
with flares and
with flares,
Spice Girls,
Spice Girls,
Boys,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But there's like a game called like Vampire the Masquerade, and it's like this type of vampire down to a T. It's this like edgy, lives in the darkness, wearing leather vampire, like sort of cults and stuff. And it reminded me a lot of that kind of style. So it was interesting to see the X-Files take on it and like...
Oh yeah, definitely. It was a very unique looking episode. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it just, like we said before, it was so convoluted. It was so just like explaining things for the sake of it. And it didn't... A lot of it... I get it, and I read up on it afterwards, because I turned the episode off, and I went, I don't really know what happened there.
No.
And I read up on it afterwards, and I get it. It makes sense. It wasn't like it's difficult to understand.
Yeah, that's the thing. You get the basic plot of, there's vampires killing people, and then at the end she killed herself.
But it just wasn't that well explained.
No, it was...
And I had to sort of go, well, what? Why was that there? Like, the fact that she wasn't a vampire, Kristen wasn't a vampire.
Yeah,
But by coincidence, she just liked to drink blood and didn't like mirrors.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was a little bit like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it was a bit all over the place, I found, like, plot-wise, but I don't know.
But I enjoyed the style of the episode. So, if you're looking at the positives, like, the actual sort of directing of it and the sort of the mise-en-scène was phenomenal.
Yeah,
I
exactly,
really enjoyed that.
Yeah. But, I suppose the main takeaway from this, we got our vampire episode, we got our solo episode.
Yeah.
So... 2 ticks so far. So
2 dings.
2 dings. Did we mention that at the beginning? I'm sure we did, yeah.
Ding, ding.
Ding, ding. I'm not dinging again.
So we got 2-1.
2-1. But that was the most interesting thing for me, that we predicted
well,
two quite weird things, I think.
Oh, yeah, we did. So that was good. I enjoyed that, yeah.
But that's it for this week, really. Next week we are covering One Breath. This is the 8th episode. 7th. This is the 7th one.
Yeah. I'm getting confused. It's gone by quick, to be honest.
I know.
We're a third of the way through the series already.
I can't believe it. We're like episode 30 odd. We're going to be at 50 episodes soon.
Yeah.
It's going to be a mental when we get to episode 100, I think.
Oh, I think episode 50, we need a party.
A party.
Yeah. Or should we do episode 52 for like a year anniversary? It's a birthday. Well, it's not even going to be the birthday. Oh yeah, it will. Episode 52 will be the birthday. Yeah.
We skipped a week though, didn't we? Once.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, I think we
We'll
had a
figure
week
it
off.
out. I think we'll need to figure it out, and then we need to have a 1-year anniversary party.
Yeah, it'll be 51. If we've only missed 1 week, then it'll be 51. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Off air. But yeah, I guess that's it from this week. So I've been Luke.
And I've been Chex.
And we'll see you next time. Chex, you got a line for us at the end?
It's too late now, mate. We wouldn't finish it. Come on.
And she's sucking this man's blood, basically, that we saw.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Molten. My fucking autocorrect changed his name to Mulder. Double E. Just imagine the fucking antlers and everything.
Yeah, you could say he's a mole deer in the headlights at that point, wasn't he? Your disappointment makes it that much funnier. Oh,
anyway, he goes to work. He goes to work on Young's body.
this is such a sexy episode.
Should have raised that differently. Fuck me, the bloopers are gonna be ridiculous. Right. And he says that they should go to the station. He says that
they should go to the station, yeah.
He says that she should go to the station, but she says that without John... What?
He says she sells seashells on the seashore.
He says she. Fucking I hate it when it's that. I need to stop writing it.
Even in the second sentence, it continues.
He says she should go to the station, and she says...
It's such a limerick. I want you to get this out.
I don't know if we should just do it with the laughs. And she says that it needs to clean.
She says he says.
I hate this dialogue. I hate it. Fucking hell.